Do you know that learning to speak in idioms is the best way to speak in C1 level of English? That's right. People who speak idioms are definitely advanced English speakers, and that separates them from basic English speakers. And therefore, in today's lesson, I want to bring you idioms from around the world. Now, you're probably wondering, idioms from around the world? Well, where am I bringing them from? Well, these idioms are related to countries, different countries from around the world. Well, let me show you what I mean. The first idiom is I'm Switzerland. What do I mean by I'm Switzerland? Can I be a country? Of course not. But this phrase is an expression to indicate that you will not be taking sides. Now, a lot of you probably don't know, but Switzerland is a country which has always remained neutral. They've never been a part of wars. And therefore, this phrase is used to indicate that you will not take sides. In a sentence, I could say, don't drag me into this. I'm Switzerland. So let's assume two of your friends are fighting and you don't want to take sides. That's when you will say, hey, don't drag me into this. I'm Switzerland. Or you could say, I couldn't care less about who wins. I'm Switzerland. In other words, you will not be taking sides. Okay, before we move to the next country for the next idiom, let me share something very interesting with you. We have launched a beautiful course, which is the English Fluency course. And this course helps you to speak English naturally. As you can see, the name suggests that this course is specially designed for you to learn English naturally and speak more fluently. In fact, this course has got 3 parts, as you can see, curated by myself and my fellow trainers Neharika and Christine. This course helps you speak naturally and fluently because it comes with the best 450 smart English expressions with 1000 example sentences. And believe me, these phrases will help you replace your old boring English with advanced C1 phrases. The best part about this course is that it is available on all devices, which means it is easily accessible. For more information on this course, there is a link in the description that will take you to the introduction of the course. Anyway, let's go back to the second idiom, which is Mexican standoff. Well, that's the second country that we are going to talk about. But what is a Mexican standoff? It basically means that people on opposite sides, that is two opposing people with two opposing ideas, they threaten each other without trying to come to an agreement. In other words, they're always fighting and they don't want to come to an agreement. In a sentence, you could say the negotiation reached a Mexican standoff when both sides refused to compromise. Is this not frustrating? Sometimes you have a huge negotiation about several issues, but nobody wants to come to a compromise. And therefore, that's a Mexican standoff. A Mexican standoff is a lose-lose situation because no one benefits. As you can see, nobody benefits. Our next country, can you guess what it is? Well, it is Spain, and the phrase is Spanish practices. This is a really great idiom. It means that you are talking about unethical business practices. Well, some businesses do indulge in something which is unethical. So you can say the company was fined for engaging in Spanish practices by manipulating financial reports. It's illegal to manipulate financial reports. Or you can say they employed Spanish practices to gain an unfair advantage in the market. That's right, some people try to get more sales, they try to penetrate the market using immoral ways or unethical ways. That's a Spanish practice. Okay, our next country, what is it? It is the beautiful country of Greece, and our phrase is, it's all Greek to me. Well, how many of you know to read Greek or speak Greek? Well, if you don't, this idiom will make sense to you because it basically means that something is very hard to understand. Okay, so you can say complex mathematical equations are all Greek to me. Well, they are to me. I don't know about you. Or you could say the technical jargon used by the IT specialist during the presentation was all Greek to me. Right? Sometimes people speak technical jargon which you don't understand if you're someone like me, well, that's all Greek to you. Okay, let's move on to our next country. What is it? It is China. Well, certain idioms or certain phrases will always use the term Chinese puzzle. The word puzzle means something that you have to solve. And therefore, this idiom means we're talking about a complex issue that is challenging to solve, right? A puzzle is not easy. It's never easy. So if something is a Chinese puzzle, it's difficult and it's challenging. The theft of the priceless artifact was like a Chinese puzzle, leaving the detectives completely puzzled, right? They found this theft very difficult to solve, okay? Clearly, they were not Sherlock Holmes, right? So they found it like a Chinese puzzle. Or you can say the negotiations between the two countries at war proved to be a Chinese puzzle, which means there was no way to solve this issue. It was very challenging, and therefore it was a Chinese puzzle. Okay, what is a Chinese puzzle for you? Put them in the comments below. We'll move on to our next idiom with another country, which is Russian roulette. Okay, well, the country of Russia, but people from Russia are called Russian. So this idiom is Russian roulette, which means that you are risking something very important without knowing the outcome. Okay, when you take a risk, you must take a calculated risk. But if you are risking something without even knowing what you are going to get out of it, well, you are playing Russian roulette. So we can say, driving under the influence of alcohol is like playing Russian roulette with your life, right? Imagine you are risking your life, which is very important, without even knowing the outcome. You could die, right? That's the worst thing that could happen. Or you can say, investing all your savings into a high-risk venture is playing Russian roulette with your financial future. Don't do that. You are risking something very important, your future. Don't do that. Okay, don't play Russian roulette. Let's go to our next idiom, which is Indian summer. Well, the beautiful country of India. But why do we say Indian summer? What does this idiom mean? We're talking about weather that is unusually warm. Well, interestingly or ironically, this idiom is used in countries where it is not warm, but they tend to be warm. So in some countries, sometimes it gets really warm in late autumn or even early autumn, and that's why they refer to it as Indian summer. For example, after a chilly start to October, the unexpected Indian summer brought a heat wave, which means in this country, in October, it's supposed to be chilly, warm, but it's supposed to be chilly, but it was not, and therefore they call it an unexpected Indian summer. Or you could say, farmers were grateful for the Indian summer as it provided them with extra time to harvest their crops. Warm weather is always good for crops. Okay, our next country is Young Turk, which is the country of Turkey. A young Turk is a young progressive individual who challenges established authority. Okay, sort of like a rebel, but a rebel with a good cause. Okay, let's look at an example. The Young Turk journalists were fearless in their pursuit of truth by exposing corruption. Now, some journalists, they are very fearless, which means they are progressive and they like to challenge authority because they don't want to bow down to being told what to do. And they are pursuing the truth and they're exposing corruption. Or you could say, he is a young Turk. Why? Because he is determined to introduce bold changes within his corporate life. Okay, well, let's go to our next idiom, which is talk for England. Well, we all know the country of England, which is the country of the kings and queens. But if you're talking for England, it means that you are somebody who likes to talk for hours. Now, I'm not sure if English people talk too much, but this is what the phrase means. And you could say, she can talk for England about her favorite TV show. She is a total chatterbox, okay? So a chatterbox is another word for somebody who's very talkative. In other words, talking for England. Or you could say, when it comes to football, Mike can talk for England about different strategies, players, and match analysis. If you are a football fan, I'm pretty sure you can talk for England about the game. right? Anyway, let's talk for England a little bit more. Let's talk about the next idiom, which is as American as apple pie. Now, what does this phrase really mean? If you know, the dessert apple pie is actually an American dessert. So if you are as American as apple pie, it basically means you are very American. Everything about you embodies the culture of America. So in a sentence, you could say, baseball and hot dogs often reflect American culture. They are truly as American as apple pie. Okay, that's what America stands for, okay? Or you could say, the 4th of July parade with its marching bands and flags is as American as apple pie. Okay, so these are some sentences you could use for this idiom. Let's move on to our next country, which is going Dutch. Now, Dutch comes from the word Netherlands. The country Netherlands is also called Dutch. So this means that you are splitting the bill among people. Okay, when you go to a restaurant, when you go for any for dinner, you have to pay the bill, but you'd rather divide the bill amount amongst people. That's what splitting the bill is. In a sentence, you could say, nowadays, people debate if it's right for a couple to go Dutch on their first date. Okay, typically or traditionally, the man would pay for the entire bill, but nowadays people are debating whether it is right to go Dutch, whether it is okay for people to split the bill on their first date or not. Okay, what do you think? Anyway, let's go to our next sentence, which is, when dining out with a large group, it's common to go Dutch. Okay, which means sometimes when you go out for dinner, you have lots of people, it's okay to split the bill because why would one person pay for everything? You don't have to, right? Anyway, we'll go to our last idiom, our last country for this lesson, which is the country of France. Okay, so a very common idiom is, pardon my French. What does that mean? It basically is an apology that you give when you are using profanity or vulgar language. Let's face it, we all get angry sometimes and vulgar language slips out of our mouth. But when we do that, it's good to give an apology. That's when you should say, pardon my French. So you can say, her cooking is terrible. It tastes like dog poop. Pardon my French. So your poop is sort of not a very good word, okay? It means feces, and you're comparing her cooking to feces. That's not very nice, so you want to apologize for it, and you say, pardon my French. Or you can say, that guy is a complete jerk. Pardon my French, okay? So jerk is another way of saying that he's a really horrible person, but a more informal slang to say that. And that's when you will apologize for using that language. Okay. Well, I hope these idioms were very interesting and I hope you've learned a lot out of these idioms. What idioms are you going to use? Well, put them in the comments below. But keep using idioms because, like I mentioned, idioms will take you from your current English level to the C1 level of English. So keep learning and keep practicing while I come back with some more lessons. Until then, this is me saying bye.